Alright, so today we're going to look at invertebrates and the different phylum that make up all of our invertebrates. Okay, there is a chart in Canvas underneath modules that will have all of these different phylum, and you can fill it in as we go along. That chart can be downloaded, it can be printed, and that way you can fill it out with all the different characteristics of each of the phylum. Alright, so for the first one. The first one is phylum Porifera. These are our sponges. Okay, any sponge will fit into this category. The name itself means pore bearing. What exactly is a pore? A pore is a hole. All right, so if we look at these sponges here, we see this large hole in it that goes all the way down into the sponge. Pretty much describing what it is. All right, so we talked about symmetry yesterday, so today we're going to look at the symmetry of these different organisms. This one is asymmetrical. So if I take this sponge, we'll use this one right here, and I cut it right down the middle, this side and this side, they don't look the same. It doesn't matter how I cut it. If I cut it this way and down, it doesn't look the same on both sides. They're asymmetrical. All right. Segmentation. Is it broken into different pieces based on, the body structure? This one, if I break it here, 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 are all these things the same? No, they're not different segments. It's one body, one piece. Okay. The skeleton, this is a organism or an animal, so it's got a skeleton. Except for sponges, the skeletons are made of spicules and spongin. All right. It does have some kind of structural component to it, not like our skeleton made of bones, but it has a structural component. All right. The column. What the column is a sac inside the organism that contains all the digestive tract. All right. So does this have it? No, it doesn't. Since it has this huge pore going down the center of it, it doesn't have the place for that one sac to contain all the digestive organisms. So it does not have that. Does it even have a digestive tract? No, it doesn't. This doesn't have a digestive system. And it still fits in the animal kingdom, but it doesn't have a digestive system. It also doesn't have a nervous system. Okay? How does it do respiration? How does it breathe? All right? It breathes through its individual cells. Each cell does something called, diffusion, and separates those gas molecules and puts the right ones in the right places. Okay. Some unique features of this is an animal that is sessile. It doesn't move. All right. They grow in one spot. That's where they live their entire life. Okay. Also, they can regenerate. This is something that a lot of animals have. Of course, we don't. It would be nice, but if you go and you break a piece of this off, it will regrow. It will regrow its parts. All right. So that's Porifera. The next one are the cnidarians. All right. Cnidarians are, our common jellyfish, coral, sea anemones. All right. Those are cnidarians. The name cnidarian means stinging cells, and anybody who's come in contact with one of these guys knows they sting. They have certain cells inside them that are fit for that and do that. All right, they don't actively seek you out, hunt you, and sting you. All right? They're not like a bee or a wasp, but if something touches them, they will sting it. All right, that is their response to that stimuli. Okay. Are they segmented? No, they don't have different body sections. Do they have a skeleton? Yes, they do. They do have a skeleton. All right. Their skeleton is hydrostatic. That prefix hydro means water. They have a skeleton made of water that keeps it, giving it its shape and its structure. Okay. They do have a digestive tract. It is one single sac, one opening inside their body, which means if they only have that one thing, they don't have a full digestive system, they cannot have a colon. All right. They do have a nervous system. It is a net, kind of like this right here. It looks almost like a little squiggly brain. but that's their nervous system. Okay. Respiration, how they breathe. They have 2 layers of cells getting closer to like a lung type thing that does diffusion, allows them to breathe, allows them to exchange gas inside their bodies. All right. And our unique features are those stingers. All right. Cyanodites and nematocysts have stingers on them. Okay, like this jellyfish has the little stingers inside of its tentacles, all right, that allow it to sting its prey or whatever it's going to eat to basically feed. All right, so when you touch one of these jellyfish, it's sensing you as food and it stings you. All right, that's its response. All right, most of these, pretty much all of these, live in marine environments. Okay, they are underwater. You know, they go back to that hydrostatic skeleton. That would tend to tell us they are water marine organisms. All right, the next one, Platyhelminthes. That's a fun word to say. Platyhelminthes, the name of this word means flatworm. All right, we're talking about worms like this guy right here. Okay, this is a flatworm, a planaria, and they are flat. This guy, this is not a cartoon. You see he's got the little eye spots on him? It's not a cartoon. That's how they actually look. Okay. Tapeworms, planaria, marine flatworms like this guy right here, those are all in the phylum Platyhelminthes. Okay. Symmetry, first bilateral. All right. The first means what way we cut it. So if we cut it this way, straight down the middle, it is bilateral symmetrical. Okay. Segmentation, they do not have segments. I can't see different sections of the body. Skeleton, hydrostatic. Where do we think they live? You know, marine environments, but they can also, some of these can also live on land. They have a digestive tract. We're getting more and more complex, so it is a sac, but it is, you know, a small incomplete digestive system, which means no colon. All right. Nervous system, we're getting more complex, as I said. So now we have a nerve ladder with ganglia. Ganglia are active nerves. All right. Respiration, here's a unique feature. These guys breathe through their skin. All right. They exchange gases through diffusion through their skins, through their skin. All right, 3 layers of skin coming together. So now we had 2 layers in the last one. Now we have 3. We're getting more and more complex. Okay, they can regenerate, which means if a piece gets broken off, they can make a new piece to fill in their body. Feeding, most of these are parasites. All right, which means they cause damage to other things. Some can be carnivores, some can be scavengers. All of which are like, we call them the bottom feeders, because that's what they do. They're on the bottom of the lake or bottom of the ocean, feeding off of other things. Okay, and that's where our habitat comes in here. We have a couple that can live on land, but mostly they live in water, freshwater, marine water. All right, next one, nematoda, the nematodes. This word means, nematoda means roundworm. All right, you see a roundworm here. It's a nice little worm. Nematodes, pinworm, heartworm. Heartworm in dogs and cats. Those are animals living inside of that dog or that cat, and they are roundworms. All right. Bilateral symmetrical, which means if I started at the tip and I cut this worm right down the middle all the way to his tail, he will be the exact same on both sides. All right. While this is a worm, we don't have segments. He has one smooth body all the way through, so he is not segmented. Hydrostatic skeleton, meaning they're going to live in places where there is liquids, there is water. Think about the heartworm. It lives in blood. That's a liquid. All right, so it has a hydrostatic skeleton. Digestive system, we have a complete digestive system with 2 openings. All right, so here is our mouth. opening. Here is our anal opening. So we have a complete digestive system. So therefore, since we have a complete digestive system, this is the first set of organisms that has a colon. All right, it's a pseudocolon. We look at this, and there is one. This is all digestive system. Everything is contained. That's that sac that contains the entire digestive tract, digestive system. All right. For its nervous system, it has a nerve ring, and you see it right here. There's the nerve ring, that little black dot, kind of resembling the brain of this organism, is its nerve ring that stimulates and tells it everything what to do. Okay. Respiration, it's still going to breathe through its skin, just like the last group. And notice here, the feeding is the same as the last group. So we're a little bit more evolved with the digestive system, but we're not moving forward as far as, feeding and what it eats and how it lives. Okay. Most of these are marine or water, some kind of liquid environment. Okay. Most numerous in the sea or in water. That's how dogs and cats get these worms inside them, get heartworms, is through stuff that they've drank. Okay. Our next group are the Annelida. This is our common everyday earthworm. All right. Annelida means little rings. Well, little rings on this, you see the little rings all on there? That goes straight to segmentation. Are these worms segmented? Yes, we see the different body segments. Okay. They're still bilateral symmetrical, which means if I cut it from head to toe right down the middle, you would see exactly the same on both sides. Okay. It has a hydrostatic skeleton, even though majority of these live on land, but they can live in water as well, so they have that hydrostatic skeleton. And a complete digestive system. This is the first organisms that have a complete digestive system and have a colon, a sac that contains that digestive system. All right. Nervous system in these is a ventral nervous system, which means it is found on the belly of the worm, not in the brain, not in the, the outer edges. It's found underneath in the belly of the worm. All right, where most of this worm is going to live on the ground. It's going to touch the ground. So most of the time its belly is touching something. That's where the nervous system is. Respiration, depending on where it lives. If it lives on land, it breathes through its skin. If it lives in water, it has gills. Like this little guy right here is a water annelida. He has gills. You can't see him because the picture is too small, but he has gills. All right. They have a closed circulatory system, and here's one big unique factor that you might have known, might not have known. They have 5 hearts. They have 5 little tiny hearts. They're so small is why they have 5 of them, because they have to have enough to move, work the whole organism. And here we go with our feeding again, exact same as the last 2 groups. Parasite, carnivore, scavenger. They're searching for any scrap of food they can find. Okay. All right. Mollusca, the mollusks. The name here means, good Lord. Sorry about this. Okay, get it fixed. There we go. The name here means soft belly. Soft belly. Because underneath here we have all these mollusks have a shell. They have some hard casing on them, but underneath they all have a soft belly. Okay. Snails, octopus, scallops, these are all forms of mollusks, different types of mollusks. You have a snail, octopus, we have a scallop here. All right. What we know about this group too is, as humans, as a higher level animal, we eat all these things. All right. They're all edible to us. They also have bilateral symmetry. If I cut this sucker in half, I cut this snail in half down the middle, he will look exactly the same on both sides. All right. We're getting into a more evolved organism. We have an exoskeleton. All right, we have the shell here. That's its it has an exoskeleton. Or they can have an endoskeleton inside of the organism. Okay. Complete digestive system. We have a nerve ladder, which means we're starting to see a central thing with nerves coming out, building on top of each other. That's called a nerve ladder. Okay. We're getting into the more evolved organism. Respiration. At first, they had gills. All right. They evolved into the ones we just talked about, the annelida. So when they were evolved into annelida, now they can actually have, breathing happening through their skin. But for the first order of mollusks, they breathe through gills. They do have a colon because they have a complete digestive system. And then our feeding process, let me move this picture real quick. Our feeding process, they are filter feeders, which means they scavenge the grounds in the places they live, and they suck up all the particles, and they get all the bits and pieces of organic matter that's there. They eat that, and they get rid of the rest of it. They don't eat the rest of it. So they're filter feeders. They can also be carnivores. I can tell you this octopus, he will kill and eat other living creatures. Okay. Most of these live in water, but they can live on land. This snail can do both. He can be in the water, he can be on land. All right. We're going to find these little snail shells around water, around the edges of water, where places were damp or moist or wet. All right. Each of these has three main parts. We have a muscular foot, and the easy one to look at is this snail, because this portion down here is its muscular foot. All right, it's how it moves. You see it right here. It has this thing zooms in. It has its muscular foot down here at the bottom. Okay, that's what allows it to move and creep and crawl around. Okay. The second part is the visceral mass. All right, visceral mass is the rest of the body. It's this portion that's up here. All right, and it goes into the shell for the snail. And the last is the mantle cavity. That is the stuff that's deep inside of its shell. And for this octopus, it's deep inside of this hard top of its head here. And the scallop, it's inside of the actual scallop shell right here. Okay. All right, next one, arthropods. Haha, these are the fun guys. We're starting to get more and more complex here. All right, arthropod means arthro-jointed or pod foot. All right, so we see the joint of all these different legs here on that spider, that tarantula. We see all the different joints. That's what that word, or that's what that name means. Okay. Example, and that should say spiders, typo. Grasshoppers, scorpions, crabs. This is a horseshoe crab. Here's our scorpions, grasshopper. All of these guys are related. They're all in the same phylum. Do they have segmented bodies? Yes, they do. We have three body parts here. 1, 2, 3 segments. This has three. Head, there's the middle, there's the thorax. We have three body parts. Scorpion, you can see the body parts, the segments on the scorpion. Okay. Type of skeleton. Most of these have an exoskeleton. All right. An external skeleton towards the outer edge of their body, made of chitin. Well, there's that word coming back. All right. Remember we had the chitin when we talked about the cell wall of fungi. Do these have some things in common with fungi? Yes. Remember, that's part of it. All these organisms have, we can follow back through evolution and see different lineages of them. We have a complete digestive tract, which means we do have the colon. All right. And now we start to see a brain. Our first one that has an actual brain with a nervous system. A central brain with a nervous system that filters out throughout the body. Okay. Get rid of that zoom there. All right, respiration. Respiration. They have a trachea, just like us, where they breathe in. All right. And then they have what's called spiracles. Spiracles are kind of like our alveoli, our different uh, air sacs inside of our lungs. They have spiracles that go throughout their body to bring, that oxygen, bring that stuff that's needed through from respiration into their cells. Okay, this is the largest animal phyla because there's so many different organisms. I mean, we see 4 different types here. Think about all the spiders, all the different types of grasshoppers, all the different types of scorpions. We have a large number of different organisms within this one phyla. And habitat, love this, habitat everywhere. All right, you see these guys everywhere. Other than this one, he's not going to be at my house because he lives in the water. But all of these I can find at my house. All right, they live everywhere. All right, the last group, Echinodermata. All right, Echinodermata, that word itself means spiny skinned. You can tell right here, it fits. It's got these little spines all over it. Okay, this is a sea star. This is a starfish. Sand dollars also fit into this category. Okay, this is our one where we look and we see radial symmetry. That's going from that central point. If I have a central point here, and we'll zoom in real quick. If I have a central point on this starfish, if I cut him this way, same on both sides. If I cut him this way, same on both sides. This is radial symmetry. Anywhere I cut from that central point, it's going to be symmetrical all the way around. Okay. Is it segmented? No, that's pretty obvious. You can see there's no segments here. It's one body section. They have an endoskeleton, okay, composed of ossicles. They have a complete digestive system. All right, they can get, they eat. They can get rid of waste. They have now not necessarily a brain, but a central nerve ring right inside their body. They have a central nerve ring, and then. Oh, don't want to zoom right now. Well, I guess it's going to anyway. And we'll go back. Have a central nerve ring, and then they send out nerves out through the different spines. Okay. How they breathe through, gills in their skin. Most of these are, all of these are marine organisms. And then the tube feet. Underneath here, they have little feet, little tubes that they exchange gas and breathe in. Since they have a complete digestive system, that also means they have a colon. All right. And now we see a combination for feeding of everything we've talked about so far. We see carnivores here. We see filter feeders. We see scavengers. We see everything because we're getting into a more complex organism that can feed in many different ways. All right. Features, tubed feet, talked about those over respiration, but they have that tubed foot underneath with a water vascular system used for suction. All right, starfish, they can stick to things. It's almost like octopus has those little suction cups on the ends of their tentacles. These have them all underneath so that they can stick in one spot and stay there. Okay, for suction. They also use that for movement, kind of like to walk and crawl along the ocean floor. Okay. So these are our invertebrates, and remember what that means. Invertebrate, no backbones. We don't see any backbones in any of these organisms. Okay. And so the next day, Monday, we will discuss the vertebrates.